Well, man, welcome into year three and the first episode of Unrivaled Sports Live. Back here with Major. Man, weren't we just doing
What's
this a few
going
nights
on,
ago?
everybody? Yeah, we were live or not live. We did a show the other night, and hey, we are sorry that we are a little bit
There we
late, but we made it, and we got some sound
Old man,
effects.
old man got sound effects. Dylan, what's up?
Look, there's Dylan. Hey,
Can you hear us?
can you hear us, Dylan?
We can hear you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna take it back off before.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
we
know, I
just
mean, you know how it goes with us. Just working out the technical difficulties on the first show, I guess.
yeah, I know we always have some
Oh, wait,
technical
wait,
difficulties. I was just about to text him.
yeah. I'm gonna bring him back on. All right. So, anyways, yeah, we're
Uh,
back for year three. Let's bring Dylan back on. See if we can't get the crew on here. Dylan, can you hear us? Nope, cannot. He cannot hear us.
so
Can
now we're
now.
good to go.
Yeah, so I had my own mic plugged in. With my mic plugged in, it wouldn't let me get any audio coming out.
Ah, I gotcha. We got.
So
I have to walk you through what I had to walk Major through today for an hour, trying to get his new microphone set up. So, what's up, man? Long time.
yeah, I know, man. It's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like that football season came back this fast. I was talking to a couple guys a couple days ago, and they're like, "Hey, are you doing the sports? I'm gonna call it the sports investment chat." And last year it got to the point to where it was it was so much going on because so many people got into my group after I went 32-0 during bowl season,
yeah.
32 straight wins. So I'm telling everybody like that's not normal. Like I don't think I'll be able to replicate that this year, picking 32 bowl games the correct way. Um, so this year I have two different ones. I have the one that you guys are aware of, and I have another one just because it's so much like interest in it. And I tell people all the time, man, like sitting down and trying to look at stats, look at scores, look at defenses. And this year's going to be difficult because we have the NIL.
Yeah.
So you're looking at teams who like Colorado. I'm not touching Colorado because they overturned their whole roster. You're looking at teams like
52,
US.
52 transfers. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
and
Yeah,
you're looking at
52.
teams like USC, who was able to go out and get a player like Zachariah Branch as a true freshman, and he tore it up last week.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, I got my picks here, and it's hard, man. It's difficult. It's difficult to pick these games.
Yeah.
Um, but whenever y'all want me to drop them, I got some hot fire.
Oh man, that's what we were hoping for. We were hoping Dylan was bringing it tonight. And,
Yeah, I'm trying
uh,
to.
Man, it's always tough to pick those first week games because man, you got butterflies and working out the kinks, and
Mhm.
it's hot, and everybody, it's not like it's 65 degrees out, and you're not gonna catch a bunch of cramps, and you got players in and out. Hard to pick those first few weeks games, with all that going on, but
And I think like this year too, like teams know like if you're in those top four, every week you got to go in and just you can't squeak by. You
oh
can't
yeah,
you can't go in and beat a team 17-13. You can't beat Georgia and beat Missouri by 1 point this year. You just can't because you go into the season with Georgia, who's back-to-back champs, new quarterback. Number two, Michigan, who's unproven to me. Number three, Ohio State. You lose CJ Stroud. I have no idea how you rank number three. And then number four, you got an Alabama team with no Bryce Young. We have no idea who the quarterback is going to be. Your defense is still strong, but you have no proven playmakers. So to me,
You have the
all
best
every
offensive line, and we'll get to Alabama. I don't want to cut you off. Best offensive line in the nation.
but
But
you have so many question marks in the top four. And Joey, I'll already get ignorant this year because I got my chest poked out from last year. I can go star at quarterback at Alabama, and they can have the best offensive line in the nation, as you say. But if you don't have a quarterback at the helm, it don't matter how much time you give them. I mean, y'all had the gingerbread man for the last 2 years, and Bryce Young created magic against my Auburn
yeah,
Tigers last year, and
yep.
he's a good player. But I'm telling you, and this ain't for me to get biased, but I'm stealing from Coach Prime with Auburn. We coming.
Anyway, no,
We coming.
we hadn't actually, we hadn't really got to talk about that. That was one of my things to touch on. Like I hope Auburn. I mean, it just wouldn't be that kind of rivalry. I hope Auburn loses, every game. Their car keys leaving the game. I hope they lose the girl at the bars. I hope they lose everything. But I will tell you, I'm excited to watch Hugh Freeze get everything going down there. And I mean, I'm gonna don't get me wrong. They come out and lose to New Mexico State week 1. I'm gonna have a field day. But I also do want to say, like, I'm gonna love it. But at the same time, like, I am interested to just sit and watch how this
If
team
they
develops
lose to New
under.
Mexico
I,
State in the first week, I'm gonna become a Florida fan.
well, that's
Don't become a
there's
Florida
better
fan because
there's
Florida's going to get
better
destroyed by Utah.
yeah, there's better teams out there you could pick.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just gonna choose one. We'll put them in a hat and I'll pick one out. Bama won't be in there though. I can tell you that.
uh, I wouldn't expect it to. But yeah, Dylan, you're
No,
totally right. I mean, there are a lot of question marks just across the board in that top four. I mean, you have even you go lower than the top four, top six. I mean, you have multiple first year starters or don't even know who the starter is at quarterback. So,
Mhm.
um, man, I mean, just it wouldn't be starting college football right if we didn't have all these question marks and things to work out that first week. But uh,
I'm going to go ahead and drop a wild prediction this year. Given the current landscape of college football, the way that Notre Dame looked last week with Sam Hartman at the helm, an experienced quarterback, he's like 45 years old. He's actually,
yeah, I think
I
it's like
can
Stetson Bennett, Stetson Bennett's uncle or something.
exactly my two dark horse teams to make the college football playoffs this year is Notre Dame and Texas.
Hmm.
So
yeah, I totally agree with the Notre Dame thing. I mean, I think Hartman's probably gonna be. I mean, you got Drake May at North Carolina and you got Caleb Williams out there at USC, but I think Sam Hartman's probably going to be in the top three, if not number two, behind Caleb Williams this year. By the time it's all over with, if he can stay healthy and Notre Dame throw the ball more than running it.
are we talking about Heisman Trophy candidates?
Yes.
If you do not put some respect on Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies,
What'd you
No,
say?
I
What'd you say? What? Who was that? What was his name?
and it
Penix.
Michael Phoenix, Finks.
I think it's
I,
Penix. I
I
think.
think either way, you're right. I just wanted to hear it again.
Well, that's my favorite to win. The Heisman, man. I like Washington's offense, but like Joey was saying, I mean, you got Notre Dame team with Marcus Freeman, defensive coordinator. I mean, he's a head coach, but he's a defensive guy.
Yep.
Notre Dame's defense looked good, but you're playing against a Navy team in the triple option.
Yeah.
But the way they played this year versus last year with the triple option was, night and day. And then you got a quarterback who had success at Wake Forest, set the ACC passing records. I mean, if they can stay healthy with the playmakers they have at running back and receiver, but Notre Dame always craps the bed in the playoffs, just like Michigan. Michigan gets
Yeah.
in every year and craps the bed. Notre Dame gets in, they crap the bed. And with Alabama being ranked 4, this is the lowest that Nick Saban's been ranked in years. So I as much as I don't like saying it, I'm never going to count Alabama out, even
No,
with a
you
new
never
quarterback.
can. You
Well, I
never
mean, they
can.
got they got to they got to lock down a quarterback. I mean, they can't. This isn't. Even I mean, AJ McCarron was considered a game manager. I mean, he's still playing, I guess, professional football in the XFL. But like he had those playmakers around him, and I mean, but
Mhm.
again, he was a game manager. He had the skill set to go out there and be a field general, and make those decisions and make plays. You know, there was only a few. I wouldn't say there's a game that I remember AJ McCarron going out there and putting the team on his back and winning the game like Bryce Young has done in the past, or Tua. You know, but I mean, he still went out. He put the ball in the right people's hands. I think Alabama does have those type of playmakers, but you just got to be on the same page with them. You got to gel with them. You know, they got to be in sync. So,
I just
yeah, I
think
don't know what's going to happen there.
The biggest issue with Alabama is y'all been spoiled for the last 4 years at the quarterback position. You go from Jalen to Tua to Matt to Bryce, and I mean Jalen was a running specialist until you got the Tua and y'all started throwing the ball around, and then I would still believe that Mac Jones got robbed of the Heisman that year. I don't think Devontae Smith should have won it. Should have went to Mac Jones the way he played, going undefeated in the SEC during COVID. But that's neither here nor there. And it's to the point to me with, and this is not me trying to make it this is Alabama bash session, but it's just like every year, it don't matter where Alabama's ranked, if they're ranked 1, 2, 3, 4. It's if you lose or win, if you beat a team 31-13, you're not satisfied. And people have to understand that this year, going into a loaded SEC, that I don't think the quarterback of the future necessarily is on Alabama's roster, because next year you have to play Georgia, you have to play Texas, you're starting to play Oklahoma every year. So I just need Alabama fans to adapt to this learning curve. Like Auburn this year, we have a new quarterback, we have a new head coach. I'm happy if we go to something else besides the Outback Bowl. I'm so tired of looking at Bloomin' Onion commercials. So if we go to, can I get a New Year's Six bowl?
I mean,
can I get a Sugar Bowl? Can I get something? Can I get something?
I mean, Hugh Freeze is going to be gone in 3 years anyway. So I mean, it's the same thing. They're going to give him 3 years and run him out when he don't win. He could win a national. Gene Chizik won a national championship. They still ran.
The only issue,
ran him out the year after.
We have with Auburn is, I mean, our boosters, the dude who owns Yellowwood, if you have a great season at Auburn and you beat Alabama, they extend you, like Malzahn. And we can never get a stable enough coach that, okay, we beat Alabama, but that's not the end all be all. And we should have never lost to Florida State, but hey, it is what it is. But I think with Hugh Freeze, the key to the key to Auburn having success in the SEC is you have to win home. You have to be able to recruit kids from in-state, and that's why Perry Thompson was such a huge flip for us. Because if you can't get kids from Alabama, you can't, because Nick Saban can go in and pick whoever he wants from anywhere in the country. So if Auburn can't win in Alabama, I mean, we can't recruit players, and this is no knock from like Iowa or Colorado or anywhere, but you can't use 3-star players to beat 5-star players. It just ain't gonna work.
Well, I mean, I think that Gus was recruiting this state. I mean, he was recruiting around the state. He was recruiting, I think the biggest thing was Harsin just kind of ran that recruiting ship into the ground, and that's what kind of put him in that position now with that roster. But I mean, that roster's rebounding, especially with what Freeze has already done.
But look at this though. I'll name you two key players that Auburn once had, both from Alabama, that flipped from Auburn to Alabama. Number one, TJ Yeldon. Originally committed to Auburn, flipped to Alabama. Reuben Foster from Auburn High School had the Auburn tattoo on his leg, flipped to Bama. So I mean, if you can't get your 5-star players in state to stay committed,
that's true.
But now with the NIL deal and the transfer portal, you can be Wake Forest last year. We'll stay on the Sam Hartman topic. Wake Forest last year was a good team. Notre Dame was a good team. Sam Hartman knows if he wants to be a top 5 quarterback drafted, I have to go to a bigger program. Let me go to a program that's already an established team, and you plug and play an experienced quarterback. So now you go from being, middle of the pack team to getting a Sam Hartman, and now you're automatically a CFP contender. So that's a new landscape we're in. And like Joey was saying earlier, it's going to be so difficult this year to bet on these games because I can't go into the season and name 10 starting quarterbacks.
Yep.
I mean, I know
I can't.
you got Caleb Williams,
Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman. You got Cam Rising at Utah. I have no idea. Oh, you got the kid from Ole Miss who's back. You got the Ewers dude from Texas. Michael Penix from Washington.
Are we going to go completely? You're talking about Penix and everything, and Joey, don't you say a word.
Bo Nix.
Completely forget about Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. Yeah.
Bo Nix at Oregon.
Hey,
So,
everybody else has.
That dude is poised to having. Well, hey, everybody except for the people out in Oregon, because they realize how good of a quarterback he can be on a team that actually can block for him and give him some time to throw the ball.
Exactly.
And he's not running for his life when the ball hits his hands from the snap.
Hey, Oregon might do something this year. I mean, Bo. Everyone's always Oregon got smacked by Georgia, but when you look at that Georgia team, Georgia has
but who did
26 NFL starters in the league in the last 2 years on defense.
Yep.
So when you play Georgia that first game and you just get smacked, you're playing against a NFL defense. So I think people don't give Oregon enough credit. But honestly, this year, this is the most wide open it's been in a while outside of Georgia, because Georgia's defense is still great. Their quarterback looks like a 12-year-old, but they're still the champ, so you got to respect it. I don't have any respect for Michigan at all. Michigan may get beat Saturday. East Carolina's not a slouch. Michigan.
That's what I was trying to remember who they played, because I thought as soon as I heard that, I thought that too. East Carolina. That's
upset alert. East Carolina is not a slouch. That's one of my games of the week. Mark it down. Michigan, East Carolina over 51.
Brian Johnson says that Joe Milton is one of the Heisman to be remembered.
Oh yeah, we got to hear. Yeah, now we got to listen to Tennessee fans talk.
Is he commenting on Joe Milton?
Brian. Brian.
No,
there he is. We got a 4-man crew.
There he is. Okay.
Joe Milton is good. He had that good bowl game against Clemson. But even the blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. A broken clock is right twice a day. So Brian, stick to making barbecue. Stick to making barbecue. Your barbecue is outstanding, but good old Rocky Top had a good year last year. Y'all better enjoy them cigars while y'all can smoke them. But Alabama's finna beat the dog. I can't cuss on this show. This is a children's program.
It is this year.
It's like wishful thinking. Kind of wishful thinking.
Hey Joey,
so now that everybody's here,
this year, what are you gonna do?
Who?
Alabama. Tennessee? You don't even have like 3 of the top 10 wide receivers in the country. How are you going to function without 7 first-round offensive draft picks?
That's what Dill was telling me. Is we ain't got. See, this is all right. This is my deal. Now that everybody's here. Now that everybody's here, I'm just so glad that I tried to pair up 3 Auburn fans against me for this. I don't know what I was thinking. This was like the dumbest decision. So yeah, but I'm here for it. I mean, it don't matter who we got. We got Nick Saban on our side. You want me to go full Gump on the first week? Here, I'll go full Gump right now.
Well, hey Joey, I know we're talking about football, so we'll come back, but I just got an update on something I just got to tell you about baseball wise. Jason Dominguez, the big power hitting kid for the New York Yankees that everybody was chasing a couple of years ago, is being activated to make his season debut against the Astros this weekend. So
I mean, that's a good that those figures on those sports cards are about to bump up real nice.
Yeah, so I just figured I'd share that because I know you were part of that group that we were all chasing him. He's getting a call up this weekend. Now we can get back to college football. Sorry.
Oh. All right, so yeah, so I guess one of the things now that we're all in here, has anybody got any? We were talking about just quarterbacks and about how the top. Dylan started with the top 4, but I think we could go even into the top 10, just looking at just what the unknowns are at quarterback, and then how that's going to play out over the course of week 1. But I do think, I mean, just looking at the top 10, I mean, We saw USC, so we know Caleb Williams is it. He's the guy there. Who's starting quarterback at Michigan? I know he's locked in, but I can't remember his name.
Isn't it like McCarthy?
McNamara.
McCullough?
Matt
Yeah,
something.
McNamara.
No,
McDonald.
I think
No.
McDonald's,
yeah,
Happy Meal.
Yeah,
Trash. Trash.
You guys,
Ohio
you
State.
talking about
Ohio
top-
State's breaking in a new quarterback.
like
Trash.
top 10 quarterbacks. You're talking about Bo Nix out at Oregon. I mean,
What about the
outside-
kids?
But where is he? Yeah, I mean, but where's he at?
Who? Bo
I mean,
Nix?
he's out of the top 10 though. Yeah, he's there. Oregon's ranked number 15.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about just top 10 quarterbacks. Yeah, top 10.
Oh, well, top 10 quarterbacks. That's
Oh, I
yes.
see what
I
you're
was
saying.
talking about like looking at the top 10. There's just so many
I mean, but you still got
or questions at quarterback.
you
At those
still
teams.
got Jaden Daniels at LSU, who's not a slouch.
Yep.
You still got the Caleb, the kid from Clemson that came in and started last year, the freshman. He's not a slouch. Tennessee is not even going to be mentioned because they're ranked number 12. They're out there. They can't even get in yet. They're outside of the window shopping. Brian Johnson. But when you look at the top 10, you got Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, USC, Penn State, Florida State, Clemson, and Washington. Everybody from 7 down ain't proved nothing to me. I believe 1 through 6 is wide open. Caleb Williams in USC,
Yep.
Jaden Daniels at LSU, probably Jalen Milroe at Alabama. Have no idea who was at Ohio State. Trash. And Michigan is just, let's just go and get this out the way. Let's flip the Michigan upside down. And then you got WM for waste management because they're trash. Michigan is terrible. Trash at number 2.
Look, Ohio State has Kyle McCord. I mean, he's
Never heard of her.
yeah, he's from Pennsylvania. He won a state championship or 2 up in Pennsylvania. So I think he's a winning type of guy. And obviously, if he won the job at Ohio State, the deal about him though is, man, he's got 2 guys who are going to be first-round draft picks. All you got to do is throw it up. And you got to think there's no one in that conference who's going to cover the 2 guys he's throwing it to.
No.
So he's going to look like, I mean, his numbers are going to be off the charts starting out. And then, Michigan's going to be able to cover them. There'll be some random kid from like Indiana or somebody who might can show up. But other than that, I mean, they're just going to roll through everybody. So,
Yeah, I don't think Ohio State or Michigan has any competition in the Big Ten. I mean, you always got to watch out for Michigan State in these big-time rivalry games. But I just always hate the last couple of years you got number 2 Ohio State or number 2 Michigan playing at their rivalry game, and one of those teams are possibly or both are getting into the playoffs. And last year we saw both get in, and Ohio State played marvelous, great against Georgia. But every time Michigan gets in, they always poop the bed. They had so many turnovers
they're
against
not used to it.
It's too big of a game for them.
They're not playing against those type of dudes.
No,
like at practice, they're not seeing the Georgia defense lineman or an Alabama defense line or the offense line. It's a whole different ball game. Like Penn State, I don't know how in the world they're ranked number 7. They haven't even named a starting quarterback yet. I mean, how are they number? So you tell me they're better than Texas, they're better than Tennessee, they're better than Oregon, they're better than Oklahoma, or even somebody like Ole Miss. I mean, I think Penn State would not be happy to see Ole Miss during the regular season.
I don't think Penn State can beat Texas A&M.
No,
and
I
Texas
agree.
is ranked 23.
Who's the kid? Is his name Aller or something like that? That's supposed to be the guy to take over
Drew
down
Aller
there?
is supposed to
At
be
Penn
the guy.
State.
Yeah, at Penn State.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
touching back on you talking about Ohio State a while ago and the wide receivers that he's got. He's also got Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams to turn around and hand the ball off.
Yes, exactly.
That you could put them in there as a 1-2 punch, and Jesus Christ, both of those guys could have 100 yards a game rushing over there.
Breaking news.
So,
Breaking news. Just got an update. Breaking news. Starting quarterback Cam Rising not expected to play against Florida. Utah will start Bryson Barnes, and right now Utah is a 6.5 favorite. Lock it in. Florida +7.
100%.
Florida +7.
All right, so is Cam Rising? Why is he not play? Is he injured? Is he just not going to be healthy from last year?
I don't think he's going to be injured, but this breaking news. starting quarterback Cam Rising is not expected to
That's
play.
crazy. He's a good player too. I mean, he's the difference maker.
He's really
he's
good.
Oh yeah,
great.
no doubt.
So let's
Because
say
they lost that big tight end that was
he
basically
tore
a
his
tight end
ACL.
wide receiver
Yeah.
last year.
because Cam tore his ACL last year, I think against Penn State in the Rose Bowl,
That's
and
crazy.
so he's not playing. I mean, and then you're starting quarterback, your starting senior quarterback is not playing, and you're still favored to win by 7. That's crazy to me.
For now, until
Yeah,
all
for now.
the
I got him at 4.5. I got him at 4.5. Looking at it on ESPN right now.
Well, it was. I know it was.
So that number's
Oh,
already
it'll
moved.
be Florida -3 in the morning. Guarantee it. It'll be Florida
Yeah, see,
-3.
Oh, I don't know
I've
about
got-
Florida on the road. I
I've
don't know
got
about
Florida
that.
plus 4.5 right now too. So
I
it's
don't know.
already dropped.
They're tough because I don't trust Billy Napier. I don't think I really don't think he's a great coach, and I think defensively they struggle because I don't think they put a huge emphasis on just playing really good defense. I mean, you watched them last year. It was kind of embarrassing as a Florida fan to watch how many points they gave up.
Yep, 29.3 a game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
9.3.
they have SEC caliber kids, and they're in South, and they're down in Gainesville, and they can't recruit kids who can play defense. It's ridiculous.
No,
they've got a big issue. Don't they have a big question mark at the quarterback position this year, or they already named that kid that transferred in?
They got quarterback. They've had
lots of issues.
They've got Graham Mertz from Wisconsin, and that kid was, every time I turned it on him, he was either falling down and fumbling it or throwing it to the other team. So
Florida has had issues with quarterback forever. I mean, I can't remember in my lifetime that since me being invested in watching the Florida Gators, outside of like Chris Leak in the early 2000s with Urban Meyer, it's just been a plug and play athletic quarterback. Anthony Richardson can sling it, but he can't sit in the pocket and read progressions like a Bryce Young could. So Florida, my bet in this game before they announced that Rising was getting hurt is I was taking over 45 because both defenses can't stop anybody.
Oh, I agree completely. And I think that even when Kyle Trask was there, he was an anomaly in their system. And I think he was just so good. But again, he had 2 legit guys he was throwing the ball to, and he just had a phenomenal season. But he's not. I don't know. But you look like going back to the top 10. You think about like Florida State's schedule. I mean, you look at it. They don't play but 1 ranked team the whole year, or 2 ranked teams the whole year. One of them's LSU, and the other one's Clemson. Everybody else is. They got Florida in the year. But to me, if Florida loses 3 or 4 games, and you'll have all the opt-outs and people who don't care, and they're looking for transfer destinations and all this and that. I don't think Billy Napier can manage a team that has like 4 losses rolling to the end of the year against Florida State.
No.
I mean, they have a ridiculous easy schedule. I mean, their worst scenario is like going 10-2 at this point, and then playing Clemson again in the ACC championship.
I mean, I agree with that too. It's just like I'm looking, and usually Joey has like little bouncing tickers going across the bottom, but I picked.
I'm a little behind this week.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this week that I'm just going to go ahead and lay it out there. So we already talked about it earlier. I'm not saying that Eastern Carolina is going to upset Michigan. I'm not saying that at all, but I do agree or believe that Michigan versus East Carolina is going to go over 51. I'm looking at Washington and Boise. I'm not too sure about Boise's defense or Boise's offense, but I know for a fact Washington can score. So you got a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback who was picking apart defenses for like an average of 402 a game last year. So I like the over 58.5. I think Washington is probably going to score in the upper 40 range. I know I missed last week on the Navy and Notre Dame game, but Notre Dame defense was a difference maker last week. But I still believe that Washington can put up probably that total themselves, honestly.
Yep.
USC and Nevada. USC scored 56 last week. Those Pac-12 games are always high scoring, no defense. USC gave up, what was it, 28 last week to San Jose State?
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
It's 28-56 or something.
So they gave up 28 last week. I can see him giving up. I don't think Lincoln Riley is big on defense. We're just going to outscore everybody. I think that's his motto. So I think that game goes over 65.5. And then this is the question mark game. North Carolina and South Carolina. I'm going with the best quarterback. I know they're the underdog. North Carolina is. I think everybody's on that hype train, but South Carolina finished so strong last year. I'm really not sure that I trust Spencer Rattler against Drake May. This may be a eye-opening party for Spencer Rattler. I mean, he came to Oklahoma, number one ranked quarterback in the country. He kind of fell off, went to South Carolina, and he might come out this year and say, you know what, hey, why am I not in this discussion as a top quarterback in the country? So
because he's not. I mean, he's not. He is not a top quarterback in the country. He can sit there and hypothetical himself into like that 5th round all he wants, but he's not. He's not a very good quarterback. I mean, overall.
Well, I mean, I'm riding with.
I mean, he threw some. I mean, he had some good games, but even at Oklahoma, I mean, he choked at Oklahoma. He left. He went to South Carolina. I mean, he shows he's athletic. No, I mean, I get that, but I don't think. Yeah, like you said, I mean, he's definitely not a top 10 quarterback. He's not. I don't even think he's a top 20 quarterback.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess you
NFL team who would ever.
You can fit him in the top 20.
I mean, dude.
We do top 20, but I still think I like Drake May in that game. I would take UNC to straight up win, and I would also, if they're giving out 2.5 points, I'll take that as well. I mean, that's just free chicken. And then
I'm with you there.
We already talked about the Utah-Florida game with Cam Rising not playing. I don't know if they're going to be able to score like that. I like over 45, but I don't have any knowledge on that new Utah quarterback. So, but both defenses are terrible. I can see this game being a 28-21 or like a 21-21 in the third quarter. And those kind of games scare me, so I might have to take that one off the list. And then my lock of the week would be Ohio State versus Indiana. Both bringing in new quarterbacks. I would lean on Ohio State's defense. Their defense is loaded this year. I know Ohio State has plenty of playmakers. I just don't know would it be worth it for them to go up 35-0 or 40-0 and keep their starters in. So I don't see Indiana scoring a lot. Indiana, I mean, I don't see them putting up many points. I got to see what the actual over-under is in this game. If anybody has
like 59 or something.
Let's see. It is, I think you're right.
I don't know. I looked at it earlier. I don't remember though.
Let's see what the game is. But I mean, I still mean, but like you said earlier, Marvin Harrison Jr. could come out and probably score 3 touchdowns himself. So the over-under in this game is 59. The spread's 30. I don't think you can go wrong with Ohio State minus 30. I don't see Indiana scoring.
I mean,
but they're playing on the road, so
I don't know if Indiana's gonna, like you said. I mean, Ohio State's has a great defense, and I mean, you're looking at a team. I mean, you're right. Indiana may not score.
I mean, you got to think Indiana only scored like 30 touchdowns all last year in the whole year. You know, I mean, they threw a ton of interceptions, a bunch of fumbles. I mean, they're just not very good football players over there. And you know, I don't even think the quarterback's back that they had starting last year. He was a senior last year, so. I think they threw like 13 passing touchdowns and rushed for like 16 or something. So it could very easily Ohio State. You could turn on TV, be 59-0 or something.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I'm looking down at my phone. I'm not trying.
I guarantee you Ohio State scores 42 plus.
Oh, 100%.
Take a side. Like that's
100%. The problem
you got to worry about. Yeah.
I mean, they can run the ball so well too, though. That it's hard though. I mean, Indiana, they play decent defense. I mean, they play okay defense. It's just
the only issue I have is like when I was watching the Notre Dame and Navy game. When you got a good defense and these offenses come out here like Indiana, they're going 3 and out so quick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not even getting the first down. And the caveat to this is too, you have to remember is that now this year with college football, you have a running play clock. First down is not on the clock anymore. So you got to think about that too when it comes into these over-under games. If you got two teams who are heavy run teams, I mean, that clock is milking because it's not stopping anymore on first down.
Yeah.
And so that's really going to play into the end of the game as far as coaching goes with clock management, quarterback play, 2-minute drills. So if you have an inexperienced quarterback, you can't be burning timeouts in early third quarter.
And even rolling into the end of the second quarter, it could 100% shorten the first half. Because if you're up 30, let's say 28-0, you could get the ball with 6 or 7 minutes to go and theoretically run the whole thing out.
Oh yeah.
And not even give them a chance to do like that, do their 2-minute drill. Where normally, maybe it'd take you 4 minutes to score. Now you could take it to 6 minutes and not even give them that chance to maybe kick that field goal at the end to, even at the end of the second quarter to mess up your money lines.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And then I try to tell people all the time, like, to me, singles, I take single games at a time. I mean, sometimes you may build out a nice parlay, and then you get to that last leg of your parlay, and it just ruins it for you.
It's always the last leg.
It's always the last
it's
leg.
Always the last leg, or it's the first leg. It's the first leg, and then you're like, "Now it's the whole thing." Now I'm not going to watch the other 4 games. They're trying to put another 4-game parlay with just those 4 that you had.
But prime example, like over in the other group, we took the Texas Rangers money line. They were down 3-0 early, came back, tied it up, and now it's 5-5 in the bottom of the 10th. And the Mets are at bat with 2 runners on. And then so Austin just texts me. He's like, "This is brutal." Because this is
betting on baseball is very brutal. That is brutal.
It's the last leg, man. It's the last leg of my parlay. I got Texas Rangers money line. I mean, I could always go in and hedge against the Mets, but right now in extra innings, it's and they got 2 on right now, so it's not the not looking great, but
you brought up an interesting point just on that talking about the new clock rule. This is something I wanted to get to because, in my opinion, the new pitch clock, the pitch count, has ruined watching a baseball game. Like you get up and you go fix a drink, come back, you miss an inning and a half, or and from what I've heard about like people that have been to like a Braves game this year, they're like, I mean, you go stand in the lines, you come back, you miss 3 innings.
Oh yeah,
the game it speeds them up too fast. So like, I guess my question is for a college football game, which a CBS game in the fall takes forever, but how does this running clock not only affect the plays you make, your style of play, because like you said, I mean, a first down doesn't stop the clock. So I mean, that's something we're going to see. We're probably going to see some teams get gassed early on Saturday.
Well, that too, and then I was watching the Notre Dame game, and it was 3rd and 7. So with the clock not being able to stop, I think now more teams have the option to run the ball on 3rd and 7 versus throwing the ball. Because I think it was Notre Dame was in like maybe 3 or 4 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 plays, and they just ran a halfback drop back hacking up to the running back because everyone's guarding the sideline, because that's the only thing that stops the clock going out of bounds. So if you're sitting there playing cover 2 on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and you just hand it off to a good running back, give me 4 yards, that's a first down, and the clock keeps moving. So I think this is going to run down into player fatigue, trying to sub players in and out, because if it's like first down and then they say roll tide and people sub in and out, you don't have that anymore. So
we'll be able to do that.
This is going to come down to conditioning. It's going to come down to coaching. If if your quarterback can't get the play call in, you got to burn a timeout in early third quarter. You get down to a 2-minute drive and you don't have any timeouts with a running clock. I mean, getting tackled inbounds, you can't get out of bounds.
So remember, it stops at 2 minutes and less. It still has that rule is still there.
Still in?
2 minutes, 2 minutes and less.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, I think it affects you. So imagine if you punt the ball and there's 5 minutes to go in the game and you down inside the 10-yard line and the bunch has got to drive 90 yards. And let's say at that point it is 3rd and 7, 3rd and 5, or let's say 3rd and 2. Well, and there's 4 minutes to go in the game. Well, you think, okay, they get a first down, they stop the clock. Well, no longer. So defensively, to me, you say, I'm not going to try to stop this run because I can't allow them to throw it over my head and score on something crazy. So let them get the first down. Who cares? Because at that point, you're 15, 18, 20 seconds later, they're snapping the ball. It's almost as the risk is not worth the reward anymore to stop them on 3rd and 1. If you're playing Georgia or Michigan, somebody's going to run that football and it's 3rd and 1 and they're at their own 15, you're almost like, look, I'm not giving you the opportunity for one of these cats to burn me down the sideline to score. I'll just give it to you and let that clock keep running. And eventually you may get to 2 minutes and they're only on the 30-yard line. But guess what? You didn't give up the big touchdown. Right. Where before they were stopping that clock so much that made a huge difference, and you would sell out to stop it on 3rd and 2 and stuff like that. And the same way thinking with the if you're offensively and you're at 3rd and 5 and you don't think you can run for it to even get it, well, you don't want to at that point risk an incompletion because it stops the clock too. So you got to really think like, man, even if I get the first down, at that point, I'm probably running the ball. If I get the first down, great. We can kill the clock. If not, I'm not going to risk throwing the ball because then I know for a fact it's going to stop the clock. And so these coaches really, like you really got to come in coaching-wise and think to yourself, like, what is my risk to reward type of stuff? Because you've seen it 100 times. It's 3rd and 1. They're on their own 20-yard line. They throw like some screen or some type of tunnel screen, or like they got Julio 101 over here and freaking kid throws it down to the sideline, some freaking nature. And all you had to do was just let them get a yard and let the clock keep running. We're trying to stop, But that's just what I see, and that's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're going to see a lot of teams that's going to have a lot of penalties with it too early on in the year. I think you're going to have a lot of teams that aren't going to be ready for that, or that you think they should be ready for it, but I think it's going to be a bunch of penalties, delay of games on that a lot, and it could also cause a bunch of turnovers because you got coaches that are in a hurry to get play calls in, and they're trying to get them in there, and the quarterback makes a mistake because of that, maybe taking a snap too soon or looking off at a receiver to put one in motion, and then the snap comes back because the clock's winding down. So I think you're going to see mistakes and you're going to see penalties until they get everything, until everybody kind of gets used to it.
And I agree, like personnel packages are going to be a big deal. It's a lot different. Your personnel on 3rd and 5s completely different than 1st and 10.
Yeah.
So to me, people like Georgia who run those big tight end sets, they're the ones who – Kirby's a great coach, so he's not going to have a problem. But some of these other guys who like to rotate in a bunch of linemen or whatever it is, they're the ones who's going to struggle because they're not going to have time to get a play in, get 3 tight ends, take out 3 receivers, put in their 3rd down back, whatever it is. They're going to have to go with what they got, and I think it's going to put coaches who are really good coaches, it's almost going to level the playing field sometimes because they're not going to be able to personnel as well unless they figure it out.
Yeah.
I like that point you bring up because if you go, like, use Georgia as an example, you got Brock Bowers, who can also run, block, and he can split out and play wide receiver.
Yeah.
So if you get your 3rd down defense in, let's say you bring in a dime package or a nickel package, you got 2 extra corners on the field, and then you pick up that 1st down, and now you move Brock back down to the line of scrimmage. You can start pounding the ball.
Huge problem. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, Phil definitely just said Mets win. I know they won 6-5 in extra innings. I'm not happy about it, but we move on.
Hey, Phil Devlin is a huge Mets fan. I mean, like a huge Mets fan. So I know he's been down on the Mets. So I think Phil, I'm sorry, but I think he's just happy the Mets won a ball game.
It was.
I'm not happy that they won a ball game, and I wasn't even betting on them. I just hate the Mets. So.
Well, your Braves are winning right now, Joey, so be happy.
Oh, I am. Yeah, I had a notification down here. I just couldn't see it. I just saw they were.
I know some of y'all were late to join in, so we'll give Phil one of these real quick. One of my new sound effects. We got
Grandpa got a new toy today.
That's right.
Grandpa got a new toy today, so we got. All right. So, what about? I mean, I guess we could pick a few games. I was kind of curious to get everybody. What I wanted to get was if get your guys' picks on conference champions and then your top four.
Top four at the end of the year or top four right now?
Well, I guess are we going to? Is it a top four? Are we doing 14 playoffs this year? Or is it 12?
Yeah.
It's 12 next year.
12 next year.
All right. So yeah, I want. Yeah. So conference champs. Who do you think's going to win the conference? Each conference, and then I mean the main ones, and then I don't want to be over here trying to figure out who's going to win the SWAC, but
he ain't.
And then we can talk. Then the top four, and then your top four. So Major, what do you think? Let's go ACC first.
ACC, man, ACC is going to be. I mean, right now with Travis at quarterback, I think Florida State probably wins that. I don't know too much about Clemson's defense this year. But right now, I got to go with. As much as I hate to say it, Florida State. I don't like that pick, but Florida State right now is probably. I don't know, probably the best.
That'd be your ACC.
Yes, the ACC. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna come down to, I guess, because what are they? A coastal and something else.
Landlocked. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Mountain.
But it's gonna come down to them in North Carolina. But I just think Florida State can beat North Carolina. I don't know why. Give me the next one.
Let's just go. We'll go. Dylan, give me your ACC.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just go corner by corner. Conference
honestly,
by conference.
I like Clemson. I like Florida State. I like the ranked teams. But a lot of people aren't paying attention to Duke with the way Riley Leonard's been playing, the way Duke's defense has been playing. I think Duke does make an appearance in the ACC championship game, just based on the side they're on. I'm pretty sure, Clemson and Florida State, they got to play each other. So, one of them aren't getting in. And then I'm pretty sure Duke could probably give NC North Carolina a good game. So my dark horse team, I really don't like Florida State. I mean, yeah, they had a good year last year, but they haven't proven anything to me. Neither has Clemson. So if I have to pick a dark horse winner, because I'm the dark horse guy. I like Duke. I truly like.
We get to see that. We'll get to see that matchup, Duke and Clemson, this Monday.
Yeah, I like Duke.
7:00 on ESPN. So yeah, that's all right. I like it. So we got Florida State and a Duke so far. Kane, what you got?
I think Clemson's going to win it, and because they bring back their starting quarterback, they bring back their top two rushers, and then they also have three of their top, I would say, 6 wide receivers coming back. And last year, really defensively, they were really good. They just couldn't move the football because they had that Ugalele kid who's over at Oregon State now, and he was just bad. I mean, he threw, in the really good tight games, he just threw a bunch of picks. Got sacked like 20-something times. I mean, just a ton of sacks. And the Klubnik kid came in and took over and did a good job. And I think just because offensively they're going to be better, and I think Dabo Swinney does a really good job of coaching up kids on defense. And I think they're going to be solid on defense always, as long as offensively they can go. And I know Florida State has a lot of hype with them with the quarterback, and Miami's whatever. But to me, Florida State, they're not like, they got a good quarterback. I get it, but they're still they still don't have like a huge camaraderie defensively to show up and say, hey, we're going to stop teams who are well coached. So I don't trust them. They may beat Clemson by 50 points, but I think Clemson ends up winning the thing and ends up, putting himself in a position maybe to be in the top 4 when it's all said and done.
I like that. Clemson was kind of my pick too. Just kind of looking at the two schedules between Florida State and Clemson. I mean, they both got some tough games kind of towards the second half of that schedule. To me, I think Florida State's probably just, I don't know. I just feel like they kind of run into a little bit more trouble than Clemson is kind of later in the season. So I think, but then again, I think one of those two are probably going to be the SEC. But I do like that Duke pick. I do, and I think it's going to make me want to stay tuned to Duke a little bit. All right, so the next, let me get my scores back up here. My conferences. The Big Ten major.
Big Ten. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with Dylan. I don't think Michigan's all that this year. Penn State's got a lot to prove with a new quarterback. I don't know. I'm with Kane on that. I don't know why they're ranked number 7 right now. And I think earlier we talked about the quarterback that transferred. That McNamara went to Iowa, and Iowa's got a pretty good defense, and they got a pretty good kid at running back. They had a couple of good transfers in at wide receiver, so Iowa could make a run on that side. You've also got Wisconsin. I think it probably comes down to me. In my opinion, it's going to come down between Iowa and Ohio State. And I think on that side, you've also got Wisconsin. I mean, golly, I want to take Ohio State, but their quarterback situation worries me. But I'll go Ohio State. I'll go Ohio State to win Big Ten. Just because of their receivers. You got 2 NFL type wide receivers, and they got 2 running backs. So the quarterback could basically throw it or turn around and hand it off of those guys all year, and they could win it just with that probably.
I like Ohio State. I know that the quarterback experience is not really there, but when you got 2 top 5 draft picks at receiver possibly, and then also 2 people forget about Ohio State always pumps out great defensive ends, great edge rushers. They have 2 former 5-stars, All-Americans on the defensive line they bring back. I like Ron Day. I think Ron Day is probably one of the best coaches in the Big Ten. There's too much scrutiny and controversy surrounding Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. I think this is his last year there, especially if he does not even if he does beat Ohio State during rivalry week. I think this is his last year here just because he can't get it done in the playoffs. I mean, he's been twice and he just can't get it done. So, I mean, someone said Ohio State has a soft offensive line. I mean, so did Joe Burrow, but look what he did with the Bengals. So, Cole. Anyway, so I don't think O-line play is important, but when you have a quarterback who can probably get it out quick to Marvin Harrison Jr., I can't pronounce the other kid's last name, or hand it off to Williams. I like Ohio State. I think Michigan's way overrated. Can't trust Penn State. But I like Ohio.
I got you thinking about
2
the
Ohio
Iowa
States.
thing.
What you think, Kane?
Dude, Ohio
Big
State,
Ten.
I don't think it's even close. So Ohio State returns. They got a quarterback has a little bit of experience. The kid was on the field a little bit last year. They have their top 5 wide receivers and their top 2 running backs back, and their top 3 defensive, the 3 top defenders they have as far as tackles go, they're back too, and they're all seniors. So to me, they were the best team last year, and I know Michigan beat them, but now these kids are a year older, and I think that's not going to happen again. And defensively, they're going to be better. And I don't see, the kicker to me in all these schedules is Notre Dame, because Notre Dame plays in week 4, and they also play Clemson like week 7 or something, or 8.
Yeah, way down in the list.
And so to me, if Notre Dame really wants to mess up everybody's life, they could go. If they win out, then all these fools are out of the conversation as far as the top 4. Yep. But it's not going to happen. I just can't imagine how potent Ohio State was last year. I know the quarterback was there and all that, but I mean, gosh, I could sit out there and throw screens to these wideouts and hand it off to these running backs and still score 30 points a game. And defensively, they're going to be really good. I think Michigan's still going to be good, but they're just not. Those running backs are not going to be able to go tackle the wideouts for Ohio State.
No.
Yep.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's what I kind of across the board. Ohio State. I just don't see. I don't see anybody. I mean, it's those 2 teams' conference. There's nobody else that's going to win. Yeah. Wisconsin is not beating. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see Michigan screwing around and losing to Wisconsin in the championship, but I just don't. I think it's Ohio State. I think Ohio State is going to have a pretty decent year, and I mean they're going to take that conference. Um, do we even talk? Which one's? I
Big
mean, the
12.
Big
Big
12.
12.
Yeah, is that even a conference now? Like
Barely.
After next year's
for one last year.
I was gonna
last year.
say just barely are.
No,
And I really wish you would have told me we were doing this tonight because I could have got
I wanted it on the fly though. I wanted reaction.
yeah, but like the other night I was seriously looking at a bunch of these big transfers to some of these schools, and I wanted to have that ready when we talked about this. But the Big 12, oh, let's see.
I mean, I think this one's
Texas.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's Texas, but man, I mean, I was trying to look the other night at everybody returning people, and I know Oklahoma's returning Dylan Gabriel and Farouk, and they've got some good kids on defense and a running back that's going to be back this year. So I was thinking about saying it's going to come down between Oklahoma and Texas, but we'll go with Texas.
Texas. I don't know. I mean, I doubt Kansas is going to have any say like they did last year.
They're not.
I mean, TCU's going to drop off drastically. I mean, I guess we'll see a little bit of them, and then, which I mean, anything can happen. I mean, Kansas State always, runs around and beats somebody. But,
yeah, but they don't have the little spark plug from last year.
Yeah.
Oh, Deuce Vaughn?
Yeah. He's playing at the Cowboys, running around at everybody's kneecaps out there.
Cowboys are trash. Anyways,
yeah. So, I mean, is everybody? Kane, you got anything to add to Texas?
No, I was hoping. I was
dark horse.
I like. If this was last year, I would have said Oklahoma State, but the quarterback and the starting quarterback went to Ole Miss, and then their starting running back went to Baylor, so they were kind of gutted. So I don't know. It's not because Texas is just so good they're going to beat everybody. I think it's because everybody else is just
the Big 12 so bad.
Not very good. And Oklahoma is super disappointing because I thought Brent Venables would done a better job, especially defensively. But gosh, but you see that sometimes with like these really good coordinators. Sometimes you're just built to be a coordinator, and you're not built to be a head coach. It's just how it is. And sometimes you're really good at calling defenses and not letting and maybe not recruiting kids and running practices and all that type of stuff. I mean, you may see it, but
right.
It's just.
Hey, how many times have I said it, Joe, when we've talked? There's coordinators are coordinators. They're not head coaches. Yep. There's not many people that can make a head coach. Coordinators are coordinators. I mean, you look at it so many times that coordinators, they need to either concentrate on offense or defense. They don't need to concentrate on the school as a whole, the whole football team. They just need one thing to concentrate. They're not head coaches. You've got head coaches and coordinators, and I've never liked some of these coordinators going to some of the bigger schools as head coaches like that.
Yeah, no.
But whatever.
Yeah. All right, Pac-12.
I see it now. I got to go to Pac-12.
You just pick a team, Major. I know you don't pick Oregon. You like Bo Nix.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I had to make sure that because there's so much swapping around going on. I'm trying to make sure that we're all still good.
Yeah, that's not taking place this year. That's not taking place.
Oh man,
this
Oregon beat USC this year? Look, Dylan, you don't like Bo Nix at all.
No, it's not that. I mean, everyone is. I'll go ahead. I'm gonna get my pick in a second.
All right. So, my thing is USC. I really believe that USC's defense. There's going to be a game that they are going to slip up and give up a ton of points, and they're going to have to score a ton. And Oregon's defense is pretty good. I just think you got the Heisman candidate over there. He's got some weapons, but their defense is suspect. I mean, y'all going to hate me because I'm not picking USC, and you think it's just because of Bo Nix at Oregon. But I think Oregon beats USC and becomes the Pac-12 champion because of Bo Nix with his legs and being able to move the ball down the field on that defense from USC. So I'm taking Oregon to win the Pac-12.
All right. Now, just not even going to mention Utah in that
Nope.
whole conversation. Just
Nope, because they're going to lose to Florida. They're going to lose to Florida first week. So I mean, they're out of everything. So after they lose to Florida in the first week, now if they don't have their starting quarterback, there's no reason for them to even play for the Pac-12 conference.
It's true. Got a point.
That's tough.
Got a
all
point.
right, Dylan.
with I would pick USC because everyone's on the Caleb Williams hype train, but I mean I get he's going probably first pick to my Arizona Cardinals, which I want him to stay healthy. But Utah, their quarterback coming back from a torn ACL. I just think November 4th is your Pac-12 championship game. The Washington Huskies going to USC. I don't care where you at, what you got to do. That game is going to go over 100 points. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Washington's defense is they know they can't stop anybody. So that offense, man, is putting up they're probably going to average about 45 a game this year. USC is probably going to average about same, probably a little bit more. But both have very explosive offenses. I like Washington. Their defense isn't terrible. It's not great, but you don't have to have a great defense to win in the Pac-12. I know Oregon's defense is probably the best defense in the Pac-12, but Oregon's offense is not the best offense at all. And in the Pac-12, we all know in the SEC, defense wins championships. In the Pac-12, offense wins championships. So I'm going with the Washington Huskies.
There you go.
Look, you can throw all that defense talk out the window because, I mean, none of them play defense. I mean, it doesn't even matter what – like Oregon, they have the quarterback coming back. They got the 2 top rushers and the 3rd top with Bo there. Receiving wise, they have like 3 of the top 4 receivers coming back. I think like the Chase Cota kids with the Bears or something. He was like the only one who left. Defensively, though, they lost like their 3 or 4 top guys. They have a kid from Lynette, Alabama, who plays DB for them, by the way, who was on their state championship team in basketball and football over at Oregon. But either way, to me, I think they win it just because I think Oregon wins that conference because number one, I watched Caleb Williams, and he's doing stuff, but it's like that podunk team they were playing. Like he should have got hit in the face like 10 times, and he just thrown it up to really fast guys. Mm-hmm. And I would like to think Oregon is at least decent, fast enough DB wise that doesn't happen to them. But you got to think now I know the score looked crazy, but I mean that's 4 touchdowns, right? And one of them is him falling back, him launching the thing up in the triple coverage, and the kid runs underneath it. And then some of these other ridiculous throws that he's making. I mean, if you take away 4 or 5 plays, that score really might be 42-28. And so he's a great player, but again, I mean, schedule wise, it's Oregon. They got it. I say it's tough, but I mean, the first 4 weeks, like they don't even play a ranked team until week 6, and that's Washington. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have 5 weeks of Portland State, Texas Tech, Hawaii, Colorado, Stanford, and then they play Washington. And if they win or lose that one, then 2 weeks later they play Utah, then 2 weeks later they play USC. And so you got like a 4-week span there is going to determine the thing. But again, they still got to play the conference championship too. But I don't know. I think they'll beat Washington. I'm not super sold on them. I don't know why they're ranked even number 10, to be honest with you.
Where's that Oregon Washington game at?
It's at Washington.
Oh, it's at okay. So it's at Washington, and then Oregon plays USC in Oregon after USC plays Washington at Washington. So
right.
That's going to be a tough little run right there for USC and Washington too.
Well, Oregon basically gets a free week to prepare for all these good schools. Like they got Washington State before Utah, they got Cal before they go to USC or before they get USC at home. So it's not like they're back to back. But again, I mean, these rankings, I hate even looking at them where you're sitting there saying Washington's the 10th best team in the country. Come on, man. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I don't think Washington is the 10th best team in the country. No. I think that, Tennessee could beat Washington. I think Ole Miss could beat Washington, and I think Texas A&M could beat Washington. I think they're just going off Washington's offense from last year. I don't believe they're the 10th best team in the country, but I believe they're probably the second best team in the Pac-12. But then again, I mean, like you said, there's no defense out there, so we really don't know, who's the best team. And that's the thing about the CFP. I mean, you got teams like USC and Washington and Oregon and all these teams, but it don't matter because when you get those kind of teams coming to play Georgia or an Alabama or a powerhouse Ohio State, it's not going to be close.
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine if any one of those 3 or 4 teams played like LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama on 3 straight weeks? It was just like them kids quit. Like Caleb Williams would be like, "See you, opting out."
He probably wouldn't have an ACL.
I'm telling you,
3 weeks.
But look, that's the thing. Like any of these teams, like Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, or the kid Washington, if any of them get hurt, then all your, everybody's thinking whatever. You say whatever you want at that point. The whole season's a wash because they're the catalyst to their stuff.
Now, I will say this: I don't believe in the NFL draft this year. I don't believe C.J. Stroud would have went number 2, but the way he played against Georgia. And so, like everyone's saying, Caleb Williams, we haven't seen him play against a top 5 defense. He's out there throwing for 400 yards a game. Great. And you may win the Heisman. You may go number 1 overall. Everyone picked on Bryce Young for being so small, but we've seen Bryce Young dissect NFL defenses for 2 straight years.
Oh, yeah.
Already. Yep. So you see C.J. Stroud go out there and play against the NFL defense in Georgia. I haven't seen Caleb Williams play against a team that's – because in the Pac-12, they don't rush. They drop 8. So think about it. If Caleb Williams is playing every week against a Nakobe Dean or these boys at Georgia, or you got Will Anderson coming off the edge, Dallas Turner coming off the edge, he's not who we think he is now. Yeah, in the Pac-12, he's safe. But in the SEC or the Big Ten, he's not. Yep. So I mean, is he that good? He can throw the ball. Yeah, he's great. But is he good under pressure? We don't know.
Yeah.
So. But
I was kind of locked in. Yeah, SEC. I was kind of thinking, throw Utah into the mix a little bit, but then we had that breaking news with Cam Rising not starting. So I mean, you're right; it could play a role into their chances winning the conference. But it's a long season, so I don't know. And I like that Washington pick as well. So, all right, SEC. I'm just going to go ahead and start it off, so I don't take too much of you Barner's times. Alabama's going to win the SEC. So go ahead. I don't even have to explain it.
Joey's going to click off of this whenever I start talking about this. All right, so I think in your SEC East, no doubt Georgia comes out on top over there. And then the SEC West, man, oh man, how interesting this is going to get. I'm just going to tell you, I don't think Jalen Milroe could hit an 8-passenger van going across the middle of a field at 6 miles an hour with a football. I mean, I'm just telling you, he reminds me of Anthony Richardson. He's super athletic, but I mean, he's just throwing the ball as hard as he can and hoping to hit somebody with it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, Joey Pierce, Alabama's not going to win it because they're going to have 3 losses this year. Alabama's going to go 9-3. 9-3.
Write that down.
Write it down right now because they're going to lose to Tennessee. They're going to lose to LSU, and then probably Mississippi State or Arkansas.
Woo.
Just telling you, mark it down. Alabama 9-3 this year. And LSU is going to win the SEC East, and Georgia LSU for the SEC championship. Georgia's going to beat LSU.
So Major.
Yes.
Major does not drink, by the way. He does not drink. This is pure.
You telling me right now we seeing the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Outback Bowl?
Very well could have some blooming onions in their future.
My goodness.
All right, Dylan.
I mean, you look at it seriously. They've got to go on the road and play Arkansas in Arkansas. that LSU game
I
is going to be a good game, and I mean Tennessee. Let's just be honest, Tennessee. I mean,
So just
they
just so
don't
we're
have
just so
Hooker.
we're clear, that those two teams that you're talking about beat Alabama
Yep,
by the skin of their teeth at home, and now they're going to come on the road and just you're assuming they're going to beat them this year.
yep. Because I'm telling you, Milrow couldn't hit an 8-passenger van crossing the field at 6 miles an hour.
By the time we get to them, he might not even be the quarterback. Y'all might be in a world of hurt.
He
Or you
might
might be
not.
in a world of hurt.
I may be the quarterback at Alabama by then.
You are not eligible. All right, Dylan, what you got?
I mean, you can't just disrespect Georgia. I mean, they're back-to-back champs, still great defense. I don't know who their quarterback is or their skill players outside of Bowers. But I don't know. Everyone is saying that this year Texas A&M is supposed to be the team we've been waiting to see. With all their number one recruiting class they had 2 years ago, those kids aren't freshmen anymore. So I'm excited to see Texas A&M. I just have so many question marks out of the West. I mean, Georgia obviously in the East, but in the West, I don't bet against Nick Saban. But I don't think Alabama has the. I don't know. I haven't seen Ty Simpson. I haven't seen the kid that transferred in from Notre Dame. So I don't know. I know Nick Saban's going to lean on defense, so I can't count Alabama out. I'm not sold on LSU either. I mean, I know I can't. Here's some ringing. I don't know. I think if I had to pick the winner of the SEC right now, I hate to say this, but I'm going to go Georgia. Just because of how consistent Kirby Smart's been over the last 2 years, defense, and the SEC wins championships. I'm pretty sure you can plug in any quarterback into that system they run in Georgia. I mean, Stetson Bennett wasn't a great athlete. He looked like Uncle Rico out there, but he still made enough plays to win games because Georgia's defense is just that great. You have to have a really good quarterback to go into Georgia on the road or at home and pick Georgia defenses apart. The only one I've seen it do it in the last 2 years were the number 2 draft picks, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I haven't seen any other quarterback slice and dice Georgia up. Nobody has a quarterback in the SEC West that can do it. Jalen Daniels got exposed last year in the SEC championship game. I don't think Joe Milton can do it. I just don't see any quarterback in the SEC right now that can pick apart Georgia's defense. And if you give Kirby Smart enough time to come up with a game plan, I don't see anybody doing it. Unless Alabama can get on a roll and they find a quarterback that can get the ball out, and you can't count Alabama out. So I'll go Georgia, Alabama, SEC championship game. Georgia wins by 7.
That makes
That's
me
my
feel
pick.
a little better. A little better. All right, Kane, who you got for the SEC?
I think Georgia wins it, but if you want to talk about like break down these teams, like I can't remember the last time. Like realistically, I know you're a Bama fan and all that stuff, but you can't tell me the last time you had an Alabama team where you legitimately did not have a top 10 wide receiver nationally on your team. Like I can't remember a time. Like in the past, you've had 3 of them. You've had 3 at a time.
5, 6.
Running backs as well. Like Jace McClellan, I guess he's your dude, but I mean he's not. I mean he's a good player, but like there's 2 guys at Ohio State, and there's 2 guys at Michigan. There's at least 1 at Georgia. There's probably other ones around that are as good or better than him. So to me, I don't know what to do with this Alabama team because I've never seen them where they don't have a quarterback nailed down, a top, a first-round draft pick at running back, and at least 1 top 10 wide receiver in the country. And defensively, they lost like 7 of their top 8 tacklers from last year to the NFL draft, or didn't get drafted or graduated, whatever it is. So I don't know how anybody sits back and says Alabama's going to win the SEC championship whenever it's like the most rebuilt team I think I've ever seen in since forever. I mean, tell me last time they didn't have a first round draft pick playing wide receiver for them. Like that was a legit draft first round guy. I mean, Jermaine Burton.
Julio came in 07.
Right. That's what
Since Julio.
then,
Since Julio.
I mean, Jermaine Burton, he's the main guy. I mean, he's the dude who's going to carry you, and he's going to have 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns? I don't think so. Like he's just, I don't know if you got enough. I think defensively, I think LSU's better defensively enough to stop Alabama. I think up front they're going to be better, and I think they're going to run the ball a whole lot. And you can't. I've watched a Notre Dame kid who transferred in, and he's not like this special kid who you're going to sit back there and he's going to do this. But again, it's not even fair to compare him to Bryce Young, because if I'm throwing the ball to Najee Harris and all them other wideouts, and then I'm handing it off to Derrick Henry and stuff, I'm like, I probably look pretty daggone good too, And then, so to me, I don't like 9-3. I'm not sitting here laughing at that, because I could legitimately see them losing to LSU. Shoot, I could see them losing to Texas A&M if Jimbo lets old boy call the offense like he's supposed to. I know that sounds silly, but who's going to score all the points? Like, who's scoring 40 points a game for these guys, or 30 points a game? Do you think they're good enough?
Nobody.
Do you think they're good enough on defense to hold LSU and Texas A&M? Yeah, even Auburn got all these. I mean, they got like 30 new dudes on their roster and a really good running back right now. I mean, are they going to hold them to 20 points and beat them 28-20? I don't know. I mean, so I think Georgia's going to crush the East over there. And I think Tennessee's going to make the game kind of fun early, but it'd be just like last year. They're just going to hit them in the mouth after halftime and call it a day. But to me, Alabama-wise, I look at them, I'm like, man, this is like the worst Alabama team I've seen since 2007.
I'm glad. This is why I waited to pick the SEC last, so we
Joey,
can
have you got
hold
anything
on to
left
this
in your cup?
Alabama bass session. Yeah, it was just.
But like, hey, if this was last year, dude, I would have been all for it, because they had all the wideouts and they had the quarterback and they had and Jason McClellan and they had Jameer Gibbs running around. But now, I mean, Milroe threw 5 touchdowns and 3 picks last year, 50-something% completion. But again, I'm not sold on LSU either. I think they got lucky beating Alabama last year. I think it was just a brain fart for Alabama. I think they had no business beating them. But and then plus I hate what's his name down there?
Brian Kelly.
I don't like it. Like you could.
All right,
you
let's
could
stop.
pay me
Let's
around
stop
there,
with the Bama hate. I'm gonna have to send this. I'm gonna have to send this to the locker room. Let them know that Unrivaled
That's
doesn't
right,
think.
best. They need to look around and see who wants to score some touchdowns, because
That's right. I'm gonna tell them Coach Kane's on them.
all
All right, give me your top four playoffs.
Top 4 at the
let's
end
just
of
run-
the year.
Yeah, let's run through these because we're at an hour and 17.
All right,
we
so
all got
top 4 at the end of the year. I'm going to go Alabama. I mean, not Alabama. Why did I say Alabama? You got me on the Alabama thinking here now, and that ain't cool.
at 9-3, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah,
at 9-3.
Alabama's gonna be tough. There,
I'm going to go
appreciate
Georgia.
the vote of confidence.
I'm going to go Georgia, Ohio State. Georgia, Ohio State. Oh my God. Florida State and Oregon at the top 4. Just because that's who I picked to win their divisions. I mean, I'm really looking at this, and I'm trying to find some teams to put up there. I mean, you got Texas, you got Clemson. If they win the ACC, they go undefeated. Penn State's up there right now, but Penn State, they're going to lose a ball game or two somewhere. I guarantee you, they're not 17th in the country. And if LSU can get through unscathed and beat Bama, I mean USC and Oregon,
right?
Yeah, I mean it's already happening. USC and Oregon, I mean,
They shouldn't even play.
I mean, yeah, that'll be my top 4 because I can't figure out another way to, or anybody else to put in there right now. Maybe Notre Dame on the outside looking in.
All right, Dylan, give me your 4.
First off, I'm gonna say I believe Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame athletic director is one of the smartest people in the country. They have hands down on paper the hardest schedule. They play Ohio State, they play USC. So My top 4 would be Georgia, number 1. I got a tie for number 2 between Ohio State and Notre Dame because depending on who wins that game. I got a tie at 3 with USC and Texas. And then number 4, I got Bama. So I know that's more than 4, but just the way Notre Dame's schedule lays out, they play USC and Ohio State. So you're possibly looking at Clemson. So those are high profile game as far as rank structure goes. Let's say they go undefeated and they beat a number 2 Ohio State, they beat a number 9 Clemson, and they beat a number 6 USC. They may go into the CFP ranked number 2 behind Georgia. And even if Georgia slips up and squeaks by, I mean, Notre Dame could realistically be ranked number 1. Are they better than Georgia? Probably not. But I mean, we all know sometimes the rank structure is dumb. Like last year, we all know Alabama should have been left out. TCU should have never got in. We know that. These people who vote on these committees have never played football before. So you got people who, their whole lives they've been watching the Kentucky Derby and voting on politics. Then you can vote on who gets into the CFP. It don't make any sense. So I think if I got to just go straight up with no extra teams, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Bama.
Georgia, Notre Dame. Texas? Wow.
Just because of Texas' schedule, they don't really play anybody. So if they can go undefeated in the Big 12, they're in. If they go undefeated and win the Big 12 championship,
and they beat out, and Alabama wins the rest of them because that means they got to beat Alabama.
No, I think so. 1-loss Texas gets in, or undefeated Texas gets in, because they play. That's week 2.
I think a 1-loss Bama if it's close. If it's a 1-loss to Bama and Bama.
Okay, you're talking about Texas is 1 losses to
yes,
Bama.
Texas,
okay.
A 1-loss Texas team to Alabama gets in if Alabama goes undefeated and loses to Georgia in the SEC championship. They get in. I mean, that's a tall task, and we're talking hypotheticals.
That's crazy.
But if Bama goes undefeated somehow because it's a revenge tour, I don't think they do. But if they do and they lose to Georgia, but they beat Texas and Texas has 1 loss, they get in.
So what if Texas is 1 loss to that 9-3 Alabama team?
Well, they
don't get in.
They don't get in. They don't get in.
I was just trying to get Joey's reaction.
Hey, they're on the Texas bandwagon, so who knows?
I just don't. I think Texas is the best team in the Big 12, and if they win the Big 12 championship,
no doubt.
They I mean, unless Oklahoma comes out and surprises, but I mean, in all honesty, the best 4 teams are probably in the country are probably Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, and I don't mean Notre Dame is they played 1 game, but you can't put we know the best 4 teams in the country are all in the SEC, but 4 SEC teams can't get in. Mm-hmm. But you can't tell me on any given Saturday Texas A&M can't beat USC.
Yeah.
So, but you can't get 4 SEC teams in. Now next year we have a 12-team playoff. You can. Yeah. But until then, we gotta go with people like TCU getting in, people like Cincinnati getting in, because here's the thing with the CFP, they want everyone to feel included. But damn well Cincinnati cannot beat Alabama. Damn well that TCU cannot beat Georgia. TCU beat Michigan because Michigan had like 6 turnovers. And then we got to watch TCU get beat by Georgia. I think Georgia scored like 56 by the third quarter.
Yeah, it was awful.
Well, I didn't even watch it. I just kept getting notifications on my phone that Georgia scored again.
Let's put the 4 best teams in. That's my argument. Let's put the 4 best teams in because I don't want to see a number 1 Georgia play a number 4 USC. I mean, it may look good on paper, but just like USC came out a couple years ago in the pregame, barking and doing all this stuff to get beat 56-6 by Alabama. So
that was when they had good wide receivers and stuff, though. That was a long time ago.
But they didn't have a quarterback. They split between Jalen.
That was Jalen's freshman year.
Well, they had seven first-round draft picks on the defensive line, probably.
That is true.
All right, Kane, give me your 4.
I think Texas goes undefeated. I think they do beat Alabama in week 2. I think they're going to go in. Georgia goes in. I don't think they're going to lose a game, and they're probably going to beat LSU in the SEC championship, so they're going to get in as 1. I think Texas goes in as 2. I think Clemson goes undefeated and gets in as 3. The only 3 games they even worry about is Florida State. Really, I think Miami is going to be a tough one for them, and then Notre Dame. I think North Carolina is going to fall off by the time they play them in like week 11 or whatever it is.
So where does real quick? I like where you're going with this, but where is the Clemson Notre Dame game at?
It's at home for Clemson, I believe.
Okay.
Though I'm not sold on Notre Dame. I mean, again, half their offensive room left. That crap against Navy or whoever they played the other day, dude. I mean, I'm not.
That don't count.
And again, they have other. Notre Dame has a lot of good games, like you're talking about. They have USC, like that's their Rose Bowl, and then they play Ohio State. I mean, that's two games they possibly could lose before they get to Clemson. And so,
does anybody remember the score between Wake Forest and Clemson last year? I'm just asking. I don't remember.
Didn't Clemson beat them, or was it? Wait a minute.
No, I think Wake Forest got them.
Wake Forest got them last minute and beat them on a last minute touchdown or
Clemson beat them in like Clemson beat them in like 2 overtimes.
Yes,
51-45.
Yeah, they beat them in overtime or something. Yeah.
Yeah, 51-45.
So even Clemson last year, without a quarterback, they won every game. They lost South Carolina by a point, and they lost Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns. Right? And they didn't even have a quarterback. I mean, the kid it was just awful. And they were undefeated going to the Notre Dame game. Played at Notre Dame, just had several turnovers. I remember they had like 2 possessions in a row. They had turnovers. But again, Notre Dame's a different team than they were last year. And I think again, Notre Dame's going to be good, or Clemson's going to be good defensively. And now they got a quarterback they can rely on. And I mean, I think they're going to beat Notre Dame, and then I don't think North Carolina is something to worry about. And I think they go undefeated and they get into the playoff again. The other team's Ohio State. So if I'm saying I don't care what order they're in, it's Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and Clemson. And I think Ohio State, they got to beat Notre Dame and Michigan, and really that's it. I mean, who else? Penn State. Ohio State. If I was betting this thing, Ohio State would be the easiest one for me to bet to get in this thing because they're going to be really good. And I assume by the end of the year, they're going to beat people so bad, they're going to be the number 1 seed, and Georgia's going to be the number 2 seed, no matter what happens. And then because I think they want to see Ohio State and Georgia play each other for national championship. And then you're going to have Clemson and Texas. So I could see like a Clemson gets in at 4, and they play Ohio State, and then Texas and Georgia play each other, and I think you end up with a Georgia-Ohio State national championship. But to me, I don't know. Oregon and all them guys, I think they're all going to lose one somewhere, and they're not going to put a 1-loss Pac-12 team in over a 1-loss Clemson. Even if Clemson loses to a highly ranked Notre Dame team, Notre Dame's going to lose 2 or 3 other games. I still think Clemson could come in and then beat Florida State again in the ACC championship and get into it. I don't know. I just don't see.
I really do think that Georgia-Texas matchup would be really good to see. But that's what's going to. I think that's what hurts us is because at 4, like I can't wait for the 12 team because we're gonna get those matchups next year.
Yeah,
that's gonna be awesome,
dude. That's what everybody wants.
That's why I can't wait for that.
They want to see and that's what we need.
But you want like a 12, a 10th ranked LSU versus a number, 3 rank whoever it's going to be, Michigan or something. Like you want that in that playoff, But I don't know.
All right, Joe.
Good deal, guys. We're at the my 4, Bama, Bama, and Bama.
I was trying to write it down and I forgot.
No, I'd go. I think I'd kind of go Georgia. I don't know. Georgia. I do think Ohio State's in there. Georgia, Ohio State, and I kind of agree with the Clemson. I'm kind of sitting there too, Clemson or Texas. So I go Clemson and then Bama number 4. If not, then Texas number 4. But Bama's getting in because Bama's winning
Let me
it off.
I got one thing real quick. I'm finna just
Yeah, go ahead.
because I want to talk about this real quick. Let me just pull up their schedule. Hang on. Who do y'all play? Oh, here, that's not Alabama. What time do y'all play this week?
6:30.
Teams, Alabama. I
It's
just want to talk about
Mid-Tennessee
their
State.
schedule.
I'll see you guys. I gotta go.
No, you.
All right.
I don't know what you about to talk about Alabama wideouts. It probably won't take very long. I'll stick around. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I do think we got Alabama at 4, but realistically, when you're just going through Alabama's schedule real quick, because I mean, at Tech, versus Texas, that could be a loss. Home against Ole Miss, but you have a gauntlet. You have Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, then LSU. If you make it through that unscathed,
that's every year.
I get that. But this year you ain't got Bryce Young, you ain't got Tua Tagovailoa, you ain't got Jalen Hurts, you ain't got Mac Jones.
Dude,
you got
that September 23rd
you got the caster at Popeyes
through November 4th. Oh my God, that's 6 games that are tough.
You got Vidal Banks at quarterback. What you mean?
Hey,
we got the Vidal dirty like that for.
I was going to ask you this, Dylan, a while ago when you were talking about the TCUs and the Cincinnatis and everybody getting in, right? We always got to have one. So one team that I was going to ask about, they're ranked number 24 in the nation right now. And if they beat Ole Miss week 2 and they end up running through their schedule, because they do have a pretty good team to run through their schedule. They lost Tajay Spears last year, but they return a lot, especially at the quarterback, wide receiver, and on defense. What if Tulane goes undefeated this year with a win at Ole Miss? Are they one of those TCU/Cincinnati's that gets close? Or
Absolutely not.
I don't play a Power 5. I mean, I know Cincinnati didn't, but Cincinnati had a few better wins, and they also, they were putting up the numbers. I just don't think
they'll even if they beat Ole Miss, they will lose against East Carolina.
You think they'll get beat by East Carolina?
Yes.
Beating Ole Miss this year is going to be like beating anybody else. That's not going to be a big win for Tulane. I mean, it'd be a big win for Tulane, but on paper, it's not. Not when it comes to.
Well,
getting in the.
Ole Miss is probably going to beat Alabama. So, how good is that going to make that win look?
How many more? Now they're 8-4.
Now they're going to go 6-5, 6-6.
All right. But the last thing I'll say, I got to hop off. The only team I see that could make a run that's outside the top 15 is possibly Oklahoma. They're ranked 20. Possibly Oklahoma beat Texas. Or Texas A&M. If Texas A&M runs the table, they're in.
Dude, can you imagine Jimbo and that other fool over there coaching them guys? I mean, come on, man. I mean, gosh almighty. They're like in there talking about like how do you have a team meeting? You're like, hey, we got to have great character and all this stuff. And you got that offense coordinator sitting over there. I guess I go for about any of us, but.
All right, but y'all, I got to roll.
All right, Dylan.
Yeah, it's time to get off. Let's wrap it up, guys. Thanks for hopping on tonight, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. This was fun. This is probably the best show we've ever had. So a lot of in-depth discussions. So we'll be back live next week. And
I like all the four corners going around. I like all of us being together. So
all right, man.
Yeah, it looks good. All right, y'all take care. We'll see y'all next week.
Next time.
See you, Kay.
See you guys.